my name is Ashley, this is Faithful Rattos, and welcome or welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing the 5th installment of the CAGE reaction videos, reacting to the submissions that you, my viewers, sent in. And I really like making this video, one, because you guys like to watch it and it's good to make videos that people like. That makes me feel good. But also because I like to show that you can have really good CAGE setups, but they don't have to look a certain way. That you can have a good CAGE setup and it look different to another good CAGE setup, but it doesn't mean that yours is less than. I also like to use this for inspiration of my own, for my own CAGES. So yeah, let's get into the first submission. So the first submission that I'm going to react to is from Taylor from Oh the Mischief, and this is a CAGE for a 5-month-old female and her 2 7-week-old doe babies. I know that Taylor rescued them. They were by one of those big like shelter organizations. They were being rehomed, and it's not the most ideal situation, but she kept the mum with the babies and is obviously going to keep them that way, so making the best of a bad situation, which sadly a lot of these rescues who aren't rat specific or rat savvy will end up doing things like this, but thankfully Taylor was here to pick up the pieces. So this CAGE is about the size of a critter nation, just a little bit smaller. They have Aspen, 3 to 4 inches of Aspen shavings for the substrate, and they do have a water bottle as well, but it was in the dishwasher at the time when she took the photo. So I'd like to share this CAGE, and I think it's really interesting, and thank you very much Taylor for sending this one in. This is a different sort of CAGE. We don't often have, you know, baby grow out CAGES sent in, but I think it's a good reference point for anybody who might be in this situation rescuing, or who is interested in breeding and seeing what baby grow out CAGES should look like. So after the age of 4.5 weeks to 5 weeks, depending on the line, when bucks and does are separated, does can remain with the mum, but they still need to have a CAGE that is enriching and exciting and will teach them how to be a rat. But obviously you don't want it to be too big and things like that. So this is a really great example of a baby grow out size CAGE. So I really like this CAGE. It is naturalistic and beautiful like all the rest of Taylor's CAGES normally are. So I really do like that. I especially like those little igloos on the floor. I love that type of hide, but I've never really been able to buy them because I keep bucks and they're freaking big and too big to fit into those types of hides. But yeah, I really do enjoy this CAGE. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about it or any improvements. I think it's lovely, and I'm sure that those babies will grow up to be well-rounded rats, given they grow up in a setup like this. So yeah, thanks very much Taylor for sending this one in, and we'll move on to the next one. So the next submission is from Diana, and she has 4 boys currently. This is a double critination. They were in a single critination because they were dealing with giardia and then ringworm. That sounds really annoying and awful, but finally they've been able to move back into their double, and she feels like there's something off and missing from this, so she would like some suggestions and my advice, which is really fun. Okie dokie. So this is a lovely setup. I am immediately drawn to that huge base of substrate, which is incredible. There's lots of things to climb on. There's foraging toys, there's water bowls and water bottles, there's a lovely big wheel, there's hides. Honestly, I don't really think anything is missing. I think you have everything that the rats need in this layout. You've got a variety of things to climb on, some sturdy things, some more wobbly things for agility. You've got a couple of hammocks, and I think there's a Spudnik there at the back, and foraging toys and lots of different things. So I don't think there's anything necessarily missing from this layout. Maybe you feel like sometimes I do, where I will work ages on a CAGE and then I'm like, ah yes, that's great, take a photo, put the rats in, and then like 3 hours later I'm like, ugh, I just don't like it, but I don't know what it is. Sometimes layouts just have to grow on me. Sometimes I just have to tweak it a little bit and find a solution. For me personally, I love the naturalistic layout and I like my CAGES to match. So maybe this not being super I mean, at least for me, I look at this and it's a great CAGE for the rats, but personally, I see the blue, white and red parts of that hammock, and that like throws me off a little bit. If this were my cage, I'm not saying it's a bad cage, I'm totally not, so maybe it's that, I don't know, but I do think this is a really great layout. I don't think there's particularly anything in specific you're missing. Maybe you just need fresh cage accessories. I also feel that way sometimes, that I've been using the same cage accessories for a while now, and so I feel like whenever I do layouts, they feel tired because I'm using all the same stuff. And so sometimes just buying one or two new things can help me to like the cage setup better. I don't know. If you need any more advice, do either comment down below or message me on Instagram and we can chat about it. Thank you very much for your submission. So I'm going to read this because it's very long and I can't paraphrase it. So this submission is from Alba. My name's Alba and my boyfriend and I got our first rats 2.5 months ago. They're almost 5 months old, all girls, and they came from a rescue where they've been handled since they were babies. So they were really friendly and from the start. Their names are Erna, Mika, Orin and Anya. That's very cute. Some clarification regarding our cage setup. We're from Germany, where rat cages look basically the opposite from cages in the UK. Our cage is basically basically a little Zoo Ventura, and we've had to put 2 extra platforms, making it a 4 in total, meaning no room for climbing, but we wouldn't have gotten rats otherwise. We've taken out the one at the top, so there's climbing space in the top half of the cage. We've got hemp bedding on all platform. In Germany, most people just use newspaper, fleece or small rugs, which I don't really understand. We either scatter feed or put their food in foraging. So there's this lovely picture of them pea fishing. Let's get into the cage. So this is something that I do see a lot on Instagram and other places online, where you have people from all over the world. Cage standards in Germany confuse me a little bit. In Germany, care for most species that I've seen is pretty good, and it's naturalistic and excellent. And I've seen, like for example, German style hamster cages are amazing. When it comes to rats though, they act as though rats can't climb, and that cages need to have like multiple layers in them. So this is the black little Zoo Ventura, and I can see where they've got extra trays in the cage. And in a lot of German style cages, there is no loose substrate, which really confuses me because hamster care in Germany is amazing, but rat cages are just, they don't use what rats are naturally like in the wild to inform their rat cages, which I think is very odd, because rats are, first of all, fossorial, just like hamsters, in the fact that they make burrows and stuff, but they don't give them deep bedding, which really doesn't make sense because they do that for hamsters, so that's a bit confusing. But they also don't give them any space to climb because I don't know, because in the wild rats do climb. Yes, they're not squirrels and they're not going to the top of the trees, but they do climb. Like, we had a wild rat climb up and get into our window, and we were on the first floor, like our flat's on the first floor of the building. So rats do climb in the wild, and our pet rats do climb, and it's really important for their health and agility to be able to use those muscles. So I really do appreciate that you've tried to make the best of both worlds with this cage, because it is quite difficult to be in a country where you disagree completely with the type of care, but there's a standard and things like that. So I really do understand your trouble. I would say one thing that would make this better is to make the layer of substrate at the bottom as deep as you can make it, making a substrate tray just like we have. I actually have the little Zoo Ventura, and my base tray in one of them actually comes up to like halfway up the bottom section of the cage with all bedding. So you might be able to get away with making a really deep layer of substrate and taking out that second extra layer so that you can have the substrate be quite high up, and then you can make a more active layout. I will say, looking at the top part of the cage, you do have a really lovely active layout with lots of different textures, not too many hammocks, lots of different things to climb on, water bowls. I can't see any foraging toys specifically in here, but that doesn't mean you don't have them. If you don't have foraging toys, do add them. Oh yeah, actually, I think that one there on the side is actually a foraging toy. But yeah, I just find it very, very odd, the German standards are so opposed to what rats are naturally like in the wild. It just really doesn't make sense to me. But thanks very much for your submission, and thanks for letting me talk about that, because I think it's a really interesting topic. So the next submission is from Emily, and this is Pets of Space. And this is the Liberta Explorer. It has housed 8 does, but now it houses 4 does and 1 soon to be neutered buck. Since she's been using the deep base, she's definitely learned that you can add a lot more substrate. So this is an older picture. She uses Snowflake Supreme, which is a really good bedding. I like it. And my Hoover likes it because it's easier to hoover up, but it also means it's easier to be kicked all across the room. So for that reason, I'm a bit torn on Snowflake. It's a really great cage, but it rusts quite easily if the water bottles drip and stuff. So that's the downside. So this is a really great example of if you can't quite afford Perspex, but you want to give a deep layer of substrate, that you can do this hack, which is using those playpen grids and connecting them together like this to make a deep layer of substrate. And it's a lot cheaper than Perspex trays and a lot easier to do. So a lot of people I know have done this and it works very well. It's just not as durable. It doesn't last as long as using Perspex, but that doesn't make it bad. I absolutely love this layout, by the way. There is so much natural wood, lots of ropes of different thicknesses to practice agility on. Yeah, it's a really great cage. There's one hammock. There's not like an abundance of hammocks, which is unnecessary, and I find that some people fall into that trick of, oh, I've got all these amazing hammocks, which don't get me wrong, hammocks can be amazing, but rats don't need like all of them. And even though I am a natural girly at heart, and or even my hammocks mostly are natural colours, I do quite enjoy the pink theme of this cage because I am in fact a pink lover. It used to be my favourite colour. Green is not my favourite colour, but pink still up there. So yes, thank you very much, Emily, for sending in this cage. It's really lovely, and thanks again for giving another talking point. So I think all the cages so far in this video have had an interesting talking point for me to say about. So yeah, that's just been quite handy, hasn't it? So the next cage is from Jess Casey, and there is 11 girls in this cage, and now she's got 16 girls, and they'll be living in 2 connected Pet Planet cages, which this is probably the Pet Planet, and their names are Heidi, Harriet, Tish, Blossom, Willow, Hera, Tula, Ember, Alora, Daisy, Fern, Rizzo, Cookie, Wren, Autumn, and Josie. She likes to use a lot of natural accessories in the cages and a pop of colour. In this cage, there's a 23cm Perspex tray in the bottom, and the substrate is obvious. I also have a custom-made litter tray at the top, and she's planning to upgrade to a 36-inch tray when she makes a new cage, and the wheel is a 14-inch tic-tac wheel. So this is a really lovely cage. I've seen Jess's cages in Rack UK and in other cage setup groups before, and I really do like them. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. I think you could probably do to add in some more fall breakers, especially if you've got older rats in the cage, just to make it a little bit safer. But I don't think there's anything wrong with the way that it is at the moment. I don't see foraging toys, but I don't know. Some people don't hang the foraging toys there all the time. They just put them there when they use them. So I don't know. I don't see any foraging toys, but I'm sure that you use them. And yeah, I really like it. I will say that personally, I don't like hemp shavings the best for rats, because whilst they are very absorbent and they're safe and anything like that, I don't think they're a bad substrate to use. They're just not the best substrate for allowing them to build burrows and tunnels, because it doesn't hold. So if you want to use aspen, you can mix it with something else, maybe to make it a bit better to hold tunnels. It's not a bad substrate, but it's just something to think about if you want your rats to be able to tunnel. And with just definitely with a 36cm tray, they're definitely going to have room to do that, and maybe hemp isn't the best to make that happen. But I really like your cages. Oh, we have another person from Germany sending in their cage. So this is Living with Fur Potatoes on Instagram. Their name is Jade. At the bottom, she has a bioactive base with 30 to 35 centimeters of soil, which is great. There are 3 water bottles and a bowl in the cage, as well as a 40cm running wheel. Okay, Google, how many inches is 40 centimeters?
40 centimeters is equivalent to 15.748 inches.
Okay, that's a good size. I just don't know inches to centimeters very well. Has foraging toys that she changes every couple of weeks to make it exciting, and she loves to add fresh twigs and branches to setups as enrichment. Mostly hazelnut and bamboo, and sometimes sprays. I really like that. And yeah, so let's have a look at this cage. This is incredible. So this is 2, I'm assuming based on the colour, SRS 95s, because I know they are this blue colour, and it does say Savic on them, and SRS stands for Savic something. I don't know. I don't know. But this is a wonderful, wonderful looking cage. There is lots and lots of things to do. There's natural elements, and oh my god, in this picture you can see a ratty in a burrow. I absolutely love this. This is an incredible cage setup. I will ask, because I can't really tell from this photo, do you have that middle tray in? Because if you do, I think your rats and your layout would benefit from opening up. But I know you're in Germany and there are interesting opinions held. I do understand that for a lot of people, going against what is recommended in your country can be quite tough and can get you a lot of flack. I will say this is an enriching layout anyway. There's lots of things to do to climb around, and that base is incredible. Ugh, so good. So yeah, thanks very much for sending your cage in. So the next submission is from Lexi, and this is what she has said. She has said, it's time for a full cage overhaul and clean this weekend, so it's in utter ruin currently, but she's relatively new to keeping rats and so would love feedback anyway. There's 3 6-month-old does in a double cutination with a drop base. There's water bowls. The wheel is a 14-inch Tic Tac on the back left, and there's water bottles. She uses a mix of Orbio's Green Mile card, shredded card, and Snowfield Supreme as the substrate, and she's currently breeding springtails and isopods in tubs ready to transfer to a bioactive base soon, which is really great. I love bioactive, as you know from my channel. But yeah, I'm really excited to see your cage. Wowza, okie dokie, this is really, really great. That is an incredible depth of substrate down there. That is amazing. Wow. There's lots going on here, and it is a little bit messy, as you said, which is fair enough because rats do live in it. I love this little swing thing you've got at the top with the sunflower on the bottom. If you haven't already known, I love sunflowers. That is my logo for my rattery, as a rat with a sunflower. I absolutely love them. So if you could tell me where you got that from, I'd be really grateful because I would like one. Thanks. And if it was you that made it, I will buy one. Okay, thank you. There is lots going on here. It's super safe. Yeah, I don't have anything negative to say about this. This is really lovely. I absolutely love it. I know it's a bit messy, but rats do live, and they do make a mess. But yeah, I don't have anything negative to say at all about these cages. And the pictures that you sent of them are absolutely adorable, living their best ratty lives. I just wonder where you got them from, because you've got a blue point smee there, and what looks to be a Wheaton and a... Is that a Russian Wheaton? Is that a Russian Wheaton? Because that's my favourite. Okay, let's move on. Thanks very much for your cage submission. I really do like it. From Edith. And this is a cage for 2, but hopefully soon 4 girls. The grey-hooded is called Dumbo, and the Siamese is called Kokos. It means cocoa in Swedish. She's owned rats for 1 year and 3 months. So this cage is the Savixino Empire. For food, they get half science selective and half a homemade mix, and should love advice on her setup. Okie dokie. So this cage setup, oh my god, that Blemming picture with a water bottle. Oh my god, you sent the most hilarious, wonderful pictures of your rats. I'll have to show those. Those are incredible. Anyway, back to the cage. So I will say that there's nothing wrong with the size of this cage, but it does make it quite difficult to do a good layout because of the access, and it's also, it does have like a decent depth of substrate it allows, but I would add something around the side, so you could add more substrate into that and give more digging enrichment and burrowing and things. If this is a paper-based bedding, I would probably switch to some sort of wood shaving or shredded cardboard or something, because paper can be very dusty and it's not the best for rats. It doesn't hold ammonia that well, so I would switch that. But this cage is really, really good. You've got the toilet paper there for nesting. There's lots of different fall breakers and ropes and things. You've got a Spudnik and a hammock and a tube hammock and a little house on the bottom, but you don't have an overabundance of hammocks everywhere. I do see you've got foraging toys, and you've got a water bowl and a water bottle. So yeah, I think it's a really nice cage. I would add maybe more like personally, I like using natural things, so like wooden branches and things like that. But yeah, it's a really nice layout. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but there are improvements, and the first thing I would improve is the depth of substrate. Thanks very much for sending your cage in as well, and for those adorable pictures of your rats, because they are very, very, very cute. So the next cage is from Noah, and this cage has 4 boys in it: Ruby, Moki, Kiwi, and Steve. They're currently 4 to 6 months old. They plan to add new babies in the next year, around August, September. In the future, they want to drop the base down and add a perspex tray for a deeper layer of bedding, but for now, the dig box in their free roam area has to be enough, sadly. Noah has said that they would add pictures of the boys, but there wasn't enough room on the email, so I understand it, it's fine. I won't knock you down any points for that. It's okay. Okay, let's see. So this looks to be, because of the colour, the SRS 95. Right, okay, so I will say, obviously, as you mentioned, making a deeper base level would make this cage really much better. I will say, though, that from what you've got, the biggest thing that I would suggest is to remove that middle layer and give your rats a more active layout. It's not like necessary, it's not a bad cage with the middle layer in, but having that open cage really does allow you to play about more with the layout, and it does allow them to be more active, and it's just overall easier to make an active cage for them that way. That's why a lot of people like me suggest it. But this doesn't mean this is a bad cage. You have lots of really cool cage accessories in here. I also do think part of the reason why I personally don't prefer cages with the middle layer in is because people, I feel like, tend to put in like loads and loads and loads of hides because of that. And a couple of hides, lots of different sleeping places, are nice for rats to have, but they're not like the shyer creatures like hamsters and mice that need lots and lots of hides on the floor. That's just not their sort of personality. They're much more, usually anyway, they're much more personable, and they cope with just household noise and things like that much better than those smaller ones. So I would say that like having 1 or 2 hides on the floor is fine, but I don't think you need, like, say you have a group of 6 rats, if you have 1 hammock and then 2 or 3 different other sleeping places that are different, so maybe 1 hide on the floor, maybe a hanging basket, and then maybe, like, I don't know, some rats even like to sleep in the litter tray, so that's fine. But I don't think that they need loads and loads of hides. I think there's lots of different things you could add to the cage to make it more enriching for rats, because they're not the same as other animals. But yeah, it's not a bad cage, not at all. There's just some improvements that I would make to it, and you're aware of some of them, so that's really okay. We will have to improve slowly and steadily. Okay, if the framing has changed, that's because I realised that I missed one of the cage submissions when I was saving the photos to start editing. So let's react to this last one. Okay, so this is from Lindsay. She is in the US, and this is a double crutination, so 4 female rats live in it. Audryn and Ophelia are 1 year and 4 months old, and the younger girls, Brooke and Willow, are 6 months old. She's trying to make the cages as active and enriching as possible. The base is aspen shavings, and she doesn't want to do bioactive because bugs creep you out, fair enough. I will say, for some people who are worried about that, you don't ever really see the bugs, so if that's what's putting you off, it's not as bad as you think it will be in your head. The aspen shavings are about 6 to 8 inches deep, and she wants to add a wheel. So I think this is a wonderful cage. It reminds me a lot of Hannah's cages, actually. There is lots to do: hammocks, baskets, this bridge, lots of wonderful different natural textures. I love the addition of the leaves at the top. Some cute little foraging toys. Yeah, this is absolutely wonderful. Your girls are so cute. Yeah, I don't really have anything negative to say about this cage at all. It's really lovely and really active, and I really wanted to include it. That's why I'm back here filming. But yeah, thanks very much for your submission. I don't have anything negative at all to say about your cage. Okie dokie. So thanks very much for watching this video, and thank you very much to anybody who sent in cages. I really do appreciate it. I absolutely loved the cages this round. There was a lot to talk about, and a lot of topics I don't think I've covered in my cage reaction videos, and it was all down to the cages that were sent in, so that was really nice, guys. Thank you for those talking points. So if you want me to do this video again, you can always send CAGES to my email address, faithfulratos@gmail.com. Just put in the subject line that it's for a CAGES reaction video, and I'll save it and use it in the future. Please do stick around and subscribe and all the things. I do still have memberships active on my channel, so if you want to become a member, you can. If you have anything you'd like to add to the conversation that I've had today, some of the talking points, please do. I'd love to discuss with people. That's one of my favourite things about making videos, is that I get to discuss these topics with a lot of different people and with people with different opinions. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!